burgeoning of e-commerce has brought hard times to China's brick-and-mortar bookstores. And the pandemic has made it even worse. Many old bookstores have gone bankrupt. Some have closed shop and turned to online stores. CGTN's Li Jianhua has been following this issue. He joins me now from Yiwu in Zhejiang province. Jianhua, I, for one, love hanging out at physical bookstores, so it's just heartbreaking to bid farewell to more. What can you tell us today?
Yes, Zhongshu, you're right. Definitely the advent of e-books and also the rapid development of e-commerce over the past decades have brought some hard time to the traditional brick-and-mortar bookstores, of course, especially after 2007, after Kindle was introduced to the market. If you look at China alone, and actually China became the largest market for Kindle in 2016. But if we look at the numbers of the traditional brick-and-mortar bookstores in 2019, and those figures are the latest available figures that we can get, the number of bookstores back then closed was around 500. But if we look at the another side of the picture, and there were altogether over 4,000 new brick-and-mortar bookstores opened in 2019 alone. And if we look at the total number of China's traditional brick-and-mortar bookstores, actually, the number stood at around 70,000 compared with other countries, including the United States, Germany, and also India. And China's staggering figures actually dwarfed the numbers of those countries. If we look at India, the number of traditional brick-and-mortar bookstores stood at around 21,000, and the number for the United States was around 14,000. So all in all, over the past decades, actually, the number of traditional bookstores was on the rise in general. But of course, the traditional and very traditional ones, and Zhongshu, of course, you have heard that a story, the imminent closure of a used bookstore in Shanghai around Fudan University provoked quite brouhaha on China's social media, and many of its frequent customers actually petitioned online to keep it. And many of the bookstores now are trying to change their business models, including the one behind me, Xinhua Bookstore. They are trying to incorporate some other elements into their business by selling some other commodities, not only books. But many of the old ones, if they refuse to change their business models, of course, they are disappearing by and by. And earlier I visited the old used bookstore in Shanghai, and also a newly opened one there, and to see the trend of China's traditional brick and mortar stores, of course, the newly opened ones. And now let's take a listen. Walls of used books. This store has been a fixture near Shanghai's Fudan University for more than 20 years, and now its time is taken away. Authorities want to renovate the neighborhood and are ordering its closure. The owner Zhang Qiang has dedicated more than 2 decades of life to the business, and he's given half year to move to another location.
我们主要就是高校的老师、学生，还有周边的居民吧。
有很多老书。
对的，你看，对，看像这一套，这个雨果文集。
The Man Who Loves。
对，1896年印刷的，而且是倒领纸。 印刷你看非常精美，我们这边呢就是像类似于这样的比较珍贵的一些老的书籍呢，还能够轻易的找到，在新书店呢是不太可能的了。
Zhang's shop has managed to survive until now, while many competitors went out of business.
我可能没有那种再来个10年或者20年来重新去打造一个文化角落的那种经历了。 所以就是对于我来说，这个书店如果关闭掉的话，那么就有可能真的是就关闭了。
As old bookstores disappear one by one, new and fancy ones are burgeoning in China. Figures show that China has more than 70,000 brick-and-mortar bookstores in 2019, more than 4,000 opened in that year alone. Home appliances retail giant Suning jumped on the bandwagon in 2019.
Books draw more customers, which can boost the traffic in our shopping mall and help with the sales of home appliances and other electronic products. In terms of the time customers spend in a shopping mall, people may only stay for half an hour in a traditional home appliances shop. Now with the book stands, food courts and cinemas all in one place, people tend to stay longer.
Sales of physical books experience fierce competition from e-books and online bookstores when e-commerce started to rise in China. The publishing industry began to have a comeback in China in recent years as a new breed of sleekly designed bookstores emerged, and some of them have become selfie-worthy hotspots promoted by online influencers. But the real question is, will they satisfy the needs of those who simply want to enjoy the pleasure of getting lost in a great? Li Jianhua, CGTN, Shanghai.